Well, hello and a very warm welcome. This is New Dawn Nigeria on Viewer Television, the program where we keep you informed, we keep you entertained, and we help get you educated. My name is Chinon So Checkers, and this is wishing you a happy new year.
And of course, as she said, Happy New Year is a brand new year, and of course, it promises, it shows that we are ready and, of course, refreshed to bring you juicy and, of course, exclusive content here on this platform. As usual, we bring in the newspaper headlines and, of course, bring in a guest to discuss on what is trending and what has been starting from Monday to Friday and look at ways and profile, of course, solution. By the way, my name is Philip Sliven, always here at your service. Now, as stated earlier, we'll be looking at newspaper headlines up next after this break. Well, it's good to know that you are still with us on the New Dawn, your number one breakfast show. Of course, live here from the studios of Viewer Television. Now, as I said earlier, we'll be looking at few selected national dailies that we have. For we'll start with Monday to Friday. Of course, Monday being the 8th day of January. Of course, interesting stories that have been on, and we'll look at a few of those, and of course, with the follow-ups that has been from some of the stories also. And remember, if any of the stories interest or intrigue you, you can drop by any vendor close. You get a copy. And of course, find out more about that, or rather, it is 21st century. Just drop by any of their e-platform. Of course, get those details there. Now, in no particular order, from Monday being January 8th, we'll be looking. I'll be starting with the Punch newspaper, and the top story there is Better Edu. Tinubu vows sanctions as anger grows over 585 million naira scandal. And someone says president will take appropriate punitive actions against infractions, says the federal government. Now it's interesting to know that this could just be the amount that we are aware of. Who knows of what other amount that has gone through another way that the public is not aware of. Well, that is for the punch. Also, we have school resumes. That is on Monday after Christmas holidays. And a picture of children returning as boarding school children, and lawmakers budget fresh 30 billion naira for National Assembly renovations. Well, that is for the punch for Monday, January 8th, 2024. Moving forward, we have the Guardian newspaper, which says federal government in fiscal dilemma over high inflation, low revenue, forex crisis. That is for the Guardian newspaper, and is also having the Tinubu orders probe of Edu humanitarian ministry over 37 billion naira, 535 million funds. Um, we have, of course, a guest in the studio who will be looking at some of the stories with talking about the headlines from the national dailies, and He's in person of Mr. Ejiro. He's a lecturer and, of course, a public analyst, and we'll be looking at some of these headlines together with him. Try to analyze it and all that. Now, you're very much welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's look at the Ejiro. Sorry, let's look at the case of the Beta Edu and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs with the case of 500, and we have the also tied 7 billion naira. What are your thoughts in general on that?
Well, it's quite sad where we find ourselves now, but one must really commend the president for being very quick in taking actions to suspend whatever is going on in that particular ministry. I mean, this is a departure from what we used to have in the past. I mean, the previous administration, it will have been the president saying he's not probably is not aware, or there's a slow pace in really taking actions. But we've seen that this particular president is in charge. He has really shown that he is in charge, because within 2 days we've seen that Beta Edu was suspended, even though yes, we can't say she's really guilty, but investigation will unravel what really happened there, because the issue is that some monies were sent into a private account, which is really not part of what ought to have been done. So we'll just wait and see how really this pans out in the coming days.
Okay. All right. With that in mind, let's move to the next paper, which is the Vanguard, and talking about the cash crunch. As Naira notes scarcity and the crunch worsens, bank rations cash across the counter. I don't know how we are still having that situation, how we are still having that issue of cash crunch. You have money, but you can't have it at hand.
Access.
It's something that I well that and more from the Vanguard newspaper. We also have tackle increase in cases of killings and Yoku tax federal government. Well, that is from the Vanguard, still for Monday, January 8th, 2024. Well, moving forward, we'll be looking at the next paper, Daily Trust. Top story there says Tinubu's 57.8 billion naira rice palliative raises dust. Well, I don't know if people are aware of the fact that some palliatives were given to the Senate for their constituents and all that. Some were aware, some did give, some acted as if they are giving from their own personal pocket. So they give little and all that, but it's important that citizens understand that this is what's been done, this is happening, this is not happening. We have constituents accuse legislators of hoarding that, and there is the reps saying how they lobbied presidency for it, and also Senate silent on the largest and all that. It is sad having that situation. I mean, it is given to you to give to the people. How can you just go back and keep it and all that?
I think transparency is one of the things that we continue to battle in this nation as a government. I think the government, they don't feel like they are obligated to tell us the truth, because people were not even aware that there was any form of palliatives given out until we now hear that, oh, they're being hoarded, or they're being, people were not even aware, people were not even expecting anything to come and hear that. So I feel it was okay to let the public know that, okay, this has been given out for the festivities, for the period, for those in need and all. I think transparency is just a simple thing
There's
to
a,
ask of from the government.
I think there's a break in communication. There's this gap. People are not really informed that this is what to expect. Let me take your mind back to during the lockdown. We saw what happened.
Yeah.
And you see, when you don't really give out such information, then you make room for abuses
Yes.
because a lot of these persons who are in charge of this palliative were hoarding it. In fact, they find their way back to the market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them even got spoiled and all that. So you see, it has come to a stage where you let the citizens need to know what is their right. When you don't even know what your right is, when you don't know what you're
Mm.
expecting, how do you even go about it? So I think that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
All right. Moving forward to Daily Sun, still for Monday, being January 8th. The top story is still on Better Edu as alleged funds diversion. Federal government proves Better Edu. Also, sub heading there says vows to unravel details of financial mismanagement by humanitarian minister. And as fresh documents reveal, she approved 3.1 million naira for flight tickets, airport taxis to Kogi State without airport.
So that's another thing that you know that we've had somebody when we've come to talk about. I have to say it because I'm a woman. When we talk about women in governance and all that, I'm sorry, but we well, it's pending investigations and all of that is still an allegation. But as a woman, I must say that I'm not so proud that this happened. And we know that this happens a lot of places, but you even see it happen other places somewhat more intelligently. Like the men will probably be smart about this. Yes, but you are why are you doing that? There is no airport. So what explanation do we have for that? You know, so like I'll keep saying it when we're clamoring for, oh, we want this quota in government, we want this. Let us be what it, let us merit it. We don't just want it. I personally don't just want women in government just to say that a woman is in government and a woman is holding the red pen and she's calling the shots. No, let her make us proud. Let her be what it. And there are women like that in Nigeria, and we're hoping that we begin to see such women come out where when they are done. We'll cite example. If we want to see more women like Dora Queenly come out again in governance, where we'll be proud to say, "Oh, this woman, you have done, you've represented us well."
Well, I'll be looking at it from two fronts. One, women in government, and then young persons in government. Because there's this clamor for not too young to run. We know
Yeah.
how that went. And now, an opportunity has been given to a young person. I think she's 37 or
Thereabouts,
thereabout.
yes.
Now, what has she really done with the opportunity?
Just
Few months, less than 8 months or thereabout.
Hmm.
Because a lot of persons will be saying, "Oh, it seems like these young persons are not ready for responsibility or power, or as the case may be." Because we've seen that it's not really going the way we ought or we expect it to go. A lot of persons applaud the president when he gave Better Edu the opportunity to become a minister
Hmm.
at that age. We would have expected more from her. But you see, let me take you a little bit back because some persons are alluding to the fact that it's more like corruption fighting back. We know what's happened with the CEO. I can't really get the name now. That was suspended before the Better Edu case came up. There was a lady that was suspended before the Better Edu case came up. So some persons
Yeah,
are
the
saying
Farouk lady.
yes. Some persons are saying that oh, probably it might just be these persons are trying to because I was meant to understand there's a little they don't have a cordial relationship in that department with the lady. So maybe she played a part in exposing what was going on, and now they two are now bringing out her own
our own
dirty
in
linen in
public.
public. So probably well, the investigation will unravel all of this for us, and we hope to hear because in Nigeria these days, once you are suspended, you don't hear anything about the report again. So we happen.
Yeah.
That is the size of what we have for Monday being the 8th. I don't know, maybe help us with the ninth of Tuesday.
All right, so moving on to newspaper headlines for Tuesday, we begin with the Nation newspaper. And so, following on the story, EFCC quizzes 10 officials of the humanitarian ministry. That is the major headline. And let's take some political matters here. Obaseki not backing me. Painful. says Shaibu. Funny that their rancor is still ongoing.
And you know,
Yes.
the deputy is hoping that he will be the next flag bearer. But they not bringing him on board. It's something that at least he will have issues with.
You know, people have said he they know how much he campaigned and canvassed for Obaseki, and he is expecting the same favor in return. But now he has been seen as being overly ambitious, and we know how that has spiraled into where we are
Well,
right now.
I'm not surprised that Obaseki is not supporting Shaibu. We all know what really happened some months ago. The back and forth with how they moved him from
The office.
the office to
Mm,
relocate his office to somewhere. So I'm not surprised. But you see, Shaibu is a dogged politician. He's a politician.
yeah.
Unlike Obaseki, Obaseki is not. He was brought into the game by that's the former APC chairman, that's Adams Oshomole. So it's time for Obaseki to really prove his doggedness because this is a fight he has to go all out for to really prove how dogged he is,
Mm.
and let's see how far he can go.
All right. So we're seeing how all of those things unfold. All right. So we're moving on to the Guardian newspaper, still for Tuesday. Still some form of sacks and suspension. The major story there says anxiety as CBN sacks Birds of Union, Keystone, and Polaris Bank. And the story says that they were not following due processes for some things, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Is that a right move by the CBN to
Well,
have?
it's the right move because there must be checks. If you don't put these checks in place, anything can happen. For now, they've been able to bring some persons on board to take over the affairs of those particular banks for maybe 2 3 months before they probably sell them off to some other persons because I know that's the procedure. These
Mm,
persons will sustain the running of affairs so that you can instill confidence on people that your money is safe. All right. In
mm.
another 1 2 3 months they'll sell them off and we'll just see how it goes because the CBN is a banker's bank. They need to know what is
What's going
happening.
on? Yeah. All right, still on the Guardian newspaper. This is one story I think we should look in when you can find that on page 3. It says federal government disbursed 10 billion naira to 165 private accounts in 2022. So whatever has been alleged advertising is nothing new. She just happened to be, in quotes, unfortunate to have been found out, or more like to have been brought out, not
Yes.
found out, because we believe that all of these things are in the know of the government. And then another story to look at here is exit of multinationals, debt knell for local industry. You can find that on page 12 of the Guardian newspaper. So moving on to the Daily Sun, still for that day. So CBN kicks out 5 bank boards. Yes, we've taken that story. And then another major Unilag, Prof's son records 5.00 CGPA.
That's first class.
Yes, as varsity graduates, 17,464, produces 340 first class at 54th convocation. As a lecturer, what's your take on that? With the emphasis that he's a professor's son.
Well, it's a
How
good
achievable
one.
again? What is that? How achievable is that within the students that we have right now?
It's a good one. It shows that he has really been burning the midnight candle, reading, and I believe the professor will be very happy to have such a son. I mean, it's a good thing to see somebody coming out with
Mm,
first class, but another thing is coming out. I hope he gets a good job with
with
that
that.
first class. And like I really want to add, we should start looking at moving from laying too much emphasis on just certificates. We should place more emphasis on certificate, you know,
Mm,
your ability to get things done. Because I will not be surprised if that first class candidate gets a job and still needed to be retrained to an extent.
yeah. All right, so let's take this last newspaper headline. Let's look at the Daily Trust. Daily Trust, and the major story there says bodies of 11 Fulani arrested by soldiers found in Kaduna forest. He said, I was taking my son to hospital when he was arrested. Our houses raided, property taken down. This is the headman saying, and said, we don't kill people after arrest, army. So I think there should be some investigation because for any form of life, I think we have to go through the a due process for without arrest, no matter what life is, and we shouldn't end lives just like
Like
that. It
that,
doesn't
yeah.
matter which life. And then still many all the papers are taking this story after investigators report CBN dissolves boards of union, Keystone Polaris Bank. I think there will be a follow up on that story as we go on. I think that's the final we'll be taking for Tuesday newspaper reviews.
Okay. I'll be taking the one for Wednesday. That's 10th January 2024, and we'll be starting with the Guardian. It says 585 million naira humanitarian scandals. Nigerians want probe expanded. Other poverty alleviation schemes. That is for the better edu situation. We also have Tinubu slashes official trip expenses. Entourage by 60%.
Yeah.
I think that will do.
That's a good one. Yes, because at this point in time, we need to cut the cost of governance, you know, because sometimes when you see the motorcade of the president, you're really embarrassed. You see the SUVs is
Mm.
endless. Let me remind you that those SUVs is being, they fill them with fuel. All right, somebody has to pay for them. That's taxpayers'
That's
money.
tax.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's a good one that they are now. I think they are looking at just 20 security personnel. Then, if it's going to any particular state, that state will have to provide more security to back up what they're having. Because when the president initially came on board, he brought 49 ministers. A lot of persons are really disturbed by that because you having 49 ministers, it means 49 ministries. Okay, it means
Mm.
buying stationaries for all that, 49 drivers, for assistants, PAs, and what have you. So it means more spending. So I think they should start looking at this. Since it's starting from the top, every other person must follow suit.
Yes.
Another thing I think they should look into is cutting down on their salaries. It's very
Okay.
important. It is very important because charity begins at home and it must start from the top. When you cut down on your salaries, it means that you feel the pains of Nigerians because we want to save money for other things. So they should do this.
Yes.
Got it.
Still on the Guardian and away from Nigeria federal government. Okay. Niger school leaders free President Bazoum's son. Well, that is from Niger. They're moving forward to the next paper. We have the Daily Trust. Still educate. We have EFCC grills Zenith Jais Providus Bank CEO. That's true. We have its routine invitation says bank officials. PDP demands suspension of Tunji Ojo over 438 million naira contract. That's the contract that is
I think Tunji Ojo is the Minister of Interior.
internal. Yes,
Interior.
Yes, he was fingered to be a shareholder in a particular consultancy company, but he has came out to say he resigned from that company in 2019
Mm.
when he wanted contesting for is it the Senate or the House of Rep? I can't really get which of the. But he said he has resigned. But a lot of persons are saying you are still a shareholder in
Mhm.
that company, which means at the end of the day you will still get some dividends. Money will be shared, and you
Of
get. So
course.
that is what people are saying that oh you've done this and you know you ought not to have. That's where they are calling him out to really answer the case. And why some other persons are saying, "Oh, let the man be. The man is a working minister
Mm.
and all that." So, so you see how Nigeria is. Some are for, some are against. So, At the end of the day, we'll see the decision the president will take on this issue.
All right, we'll move to the next paper, still for Wednesday, January 10th, Daily Sun. And our headline says Degree Bazaar. Federal government proves private varsities and others. Inaugurates six-man investigative panel vows not to spare culprits. Um, we also have EFCC quizzes obtained better rule suspension. Not enough, according to Atiku. I don't know
What does he want? What does he
what
want? Does he wants an outright sack? But you can't just sack
No,
her.
they
What?
can't really sack her
She can't
when
be sacked with that.
the
Yeah.
investigations have not been concluded. But I can understand his position, being in the opposition, you know.
you want us straight to the
What
guillotine?
do we like?
Let her hang.
So, we can I can really understand that his position is from the opposition, so he wants more drastic action to be taken, not just suspension. But she's not been confirmed to be
Yes, she's not
guilty
guilty.
Mm.
yet until when
She's in the court.
investigations have been concluded.
All right, the next paper we have the Punch newspaper, and the top story still on the Edu's humanitarian ministry scandals. EFCC seizes Edu former minister's passport. Bank MDs grilled suspended minister barred from traveling. Yes, and NNPCL post over 2 trillion naira profit. Fake degrees, federal government proves 107 private universities. Well, that is for Punch newspaper. You remember you can drop by any vendor post, you get a copy, and of course find out more about that. Moving forward, the nation still for Wednesday. And 37 billion naira, 585 million naira proved Sadia Edu barred from travel. See, as I said, these just the figure that we are aware of.
Of course.
We are not. There are some that possibly we might never be aware of.
Like the school feeding program. During the lockdown, we were told that some persons were being fed when they're at home.
Hmm.
How do
wonder
you,
how.
how do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
equate
How?
that?
How?
Wonder
Yes.
how.
Is it that you have
Mm.
their addresses, you went house by house feeding them, or how? And you see the president then, when persons were calling out this minister, the president didn't really do much. So these are the issues. So imagine it's more like that ministry is a cash cow for
Mm.
like in the local palace they say cash out.
Yeah.
They use it to cash out. So
Mhm.
it's high time they investigate and we hold all these persons responsible for our money.
Okay.
And it's a ministry that is supposed to be for the people.
All the
This
people,
is one
yeah.
ministry where we shouldn't hear any form of these things happening.
It should
Like
be
you're saying,
praised.
yes, you're saying this is the amount we are just hearing. I must say, for certain, it's been a long time we had allegations in millions in Nigeria. When I
No,
heard it, I'm
millions
like,
is no longer
ah,
involved.
500 and
It's
something million.
billions.
Oh, she tried. She did it. She was very conservative in that because, like, it's just millions. So this is what we know right now.
All right. For the next paper, still for Wednesday, we have the Vanguard, also with the case of the Better 585 million naira graft EFCC pieces Better for hours, and also we have Edo 2024 Shuaibu frowns on Edo North meeting endorsing Gadalo. That is for the Vanguard. Also, Amir Wule led Rivers Assembly writes Fubara over 2024 budget presentation delay. That and much more from the Vanguard for today. And the last paper that we have it for Wednesday, Nigerian Tribune, which is talking about Tinubu slashes entourage for foreign local trips by 60%. We also have we are not owing MTN interconnect charges, and that is from Global. Federal government sets up panel to probe private universities, foreign institutions. That is about the size for Wednesday.
All right, so we would have to skip to Friday. Yes, let's skip to the papers for Friday, and this is papers for Friday, and we begin with the leadership Friday, and the major story there, which is a thing of concern for all Nigerians, as at Friday on easy calm in Kano, Plateau, and Zamfara states. That's Judgment Day. So police beef up security. Interestingly, PDP declares prayer and fasting as APC urges calm. Apex Court reserves judgment in Ogun State. Yes, so we know that gradually the results are out. Yeah, you have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't really expect anything new to happen. I know that you see in politics, it's all about interest. You never know what color of water passes under the bridge, except if they are made known to you. Uh, for that of Lagos State, the governor Sanwo-Olu is still the governor. That of Zamfara, we still have the governor there because initially they were saying that. The appeal court said they are going to have a rerun of election in three local governments. But as it is now, the Supreme Court has really uh, reinstated the governor to still be the governor of the state. And that of Plateau State as well is still the governor. So nothing really new happened. Okay. So the question is, what happened with the appeal court? What color of water passed under the bridge that they
That
were,
we're not aware of.
yeah, that we're not aware of, that make them to give certain pronouncements, so we really don't know, but there's a whole lot I want to believe. But as it is now, it's a good thing that the case have been concluded. Now it's time for governance. At least the people should enjoy the dividends of democracy.
Yeah.
Every other person should come together and move the state forward. I mean, that's what the people want, not fighting
Yes.
each other.
Yeah, hopefully we move into governance because enough of all of these petitions and appealing. Let's go full bloom into governance right now because in the next after another year or so we begin to hear campaigns again.
Well,
So when are we going
campaign
to
has
have?
even
Yeah, so when are we going to really have governance really happen? So let me take this last story, which I think will be of interest to us, still on the leadership. Says there were deceitful narratives against Buhari. Of course, additional is at it again. That is one story that we should look at. It's on page 6 of the leadership for Friday. So now let's move on to Nigerian Tribune. Says federal government to probe. That's the window story. The federal government to probe 33 billion naira Ajokuta steel electricity debt. And yeah, so the major story there is still on the states, still on the apex court matter. Zamfara, Plateau, Kano, and four other governors know their fate today, which is a Friday. Governor Eno of Akwa Ibom wins, of course, and judgment reserved in Ogun appeal. Yeah, so that's the Nigerian Tribune. The story's making the headlines. So let's take The Guardian for Friday. Said renewed hope agenda. Say after honeymoon, tales of woe, frustration trail Tinubu's policies. I think that has been on since it came into power. So that's for the Nigerian Tribune. And this story here, very on a sad note, a female banker commits suicide in Ikorodu and blames economic hardship. So these are one of the woes that's so unfortunate. The schools, banks order shot as Supreme Court decides Kano governor. These are the stories making the headline for the Guardian newspaper for Friday. And let's take our final newspaper, the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust, the major story there this Friday. Daily Trust, security beefed up as Kano Plateau 6 other governors know their fate. CP's orders call for calm. Winners, appellants, their upbeats say the issues at stake. And still on the window stories, there's a village head, son, 8 others killed in Katsina. That's some insecurity story. Army denies allegation of poor feeding of troops. And another security matter, bandits abduct 23 in the FCT. I think this was a trending
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
within the past week.
It's quite sad because last week there were rumors of kidnapping somewhere around Buhari, somewhere around Duse, and it's really sad because gradually it's now creeping into the city center. It goes to tell you that apparently nobody is safe anymore.
Mm.
So the FCT minister and every other person in charge will need to put heads together to find out how to really tackle this menace, because if we don't do anything about it, anybody could be a victim. So we don't really want to be victims. So everybody must be up and doing. Security is everybody's business. At this point, we must not leave it to the federal government alone. If you see something, say something. I mean, there should be some mechanism in place that whenever you see something, you should be able to have a number to call to report that situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. That's a good place to end it on the newspaper review. So if you see something, say something. Security is all our business. You're still watching New Dawn Nigeria here on Viewer Television. There's still more to come as we take a closer look at these issues. We'll still have Mr. Ejiro Onueta join us on an exclusive interview where we zoom more into these issues that are trending in the nation. Join us again after the break. Hello and a very warm welcome. This is Viewer Exclusive here on Viewer Television, the program where we bring you views and analysis on events that are trending within the nation. So the past week has been a very eventful time in the country. There's been allegations of fraud. There's been news of scandals and moral misconducts in the church. I mean, a lot has happened. And today on Viewer Exclusive, we're going to be treating the matters that have been arising in the nation. I wouldn't be doing this alone. I would have a political commentator join me to give his views and analysis. My name is Chinon Sochekwes. To join me again after the break. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Viewer Exclusive here on Viewer Television. My guest today, like I earlier mentioned, is a political commentator. He is a lecturer with the Department of Mass Communications, the City Poly in Abuja, and his name is Ejiro Onueta. Very good to have you come on the show today.
Thank you very much
Yes,
for having me on your
it's
show.
amazing. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your year.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Oh yes. So like I mentioned in my earlier introduction, there's been a lot that's been happening in the nation, and you're here today to give us your views and help Nigerians if there is any way to make sense of the things that are happening. Are we going in the right direction with the decisions that have been made, with the current things that have happened, decisions that the government has taken? Are we on the right trajectory? Is there hope? Like the mandate, is there any view of the renewed hope that was promised us based on the things that we're seeing? Let's begin by getting your views on the current suspensions right now of some ministers due to some allegations around them. Let me call it an allegation,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the case is still unfolding, right? From that's notably Better Edu, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Now we're not talking. Well, if that's good by you, you can express your views on the allegations itself. But the step that the government has taken to suspend and ask that duties be given to most senior directors and all in the ministry. What's your view on that step that the government has taken?
Well, thank you very much once again for having me here.
Thank you.
I think the president is in the right path because, it's a departure from what we used to have. In the past, in the previous administration, that is, we saw how when there are allegations like this, it's either the president then is too slow to react, or probably tell you he's not aware. And
Yes.
we've seen a Tinubu that is aware. Okay, it seems like he's on top of his game because within 2 days, Better Edu was suspended. Some other suspension follows. So it sends a very strong signal to whoever out there that really wants to toe that part. It's not game as usual. Let me put it that way, because the president is not really relaxing on his oars. He's really taking actions, and Nigerians are kind of okay with that action for now, because in order to really have a holistic investigation, it needed to be suspended. And at the end of the day, we'll probably see what will pan out. We'll see how this will turn out. We want to know, because you see that particular ministry has been more like a conduit pipe where a whole lot happened. In the previous administration, we knew how we heard about how students were being fed at home during the COVID period. And a lot of persons asked questions, but there were no answers to those questions till today. If not for when we heard probably within the week, EFCC has invited that particular minister, that's the former minister of that particular ministry, to come explain herself. So we're equally hoping that something good will come out of the investigation, because we knew how at one time, if these persons were arrested, the next thing we hear is split bargain. And they just bring out money from their back pocket, and the whole thing is shredded in secrecy. But I think with Tinubu, it's going to be different.
All right, so there are three players in this game right now. If you'd ask me, I think the government, the ministers themselves, and the people. Because some people have come out now, some quarters have come out to say, Betta is our daughter. Tunji Ojo, he has walked. So therefore, what do you have to say to we and with this kind of reactions?
Well, let me start from the side of the people. You see, if we must get this right, we must do away with sentiment. All right? Because when you start saying, oh, Better Edu is our person and all that, then we are not going anywhere. Then you have no right to hold the government accountable when there's so much corruption. You can't tell them that, because we have to do away with this is our person. At the end of the day, if this person is your person and is not doing the needful, everybody will suffer, including you that is saying is your person. All right?
Yeah.
So we need to get it right. We need to move. There must be a paradigm shift from what used to happen to where we want to be. That's on the side of the people now. Then on the side of the government has sent a strong signal to every other so-called corrupt politician out there, because you now know that, oh, you cannot just do anything and get away with it. Of course, you knew that if you are transferring social funds to a private account, is against the ethics of that particular office. So you might not want to do that. All right? So that's on the side of the government now. So everybody, we need to put all hands on deck to tackle this situation to an because at the end of the day, this person you call your person, whatever they've benefited from that particular scenario will not go around for everybody.
Really, yeah.
All right, it's just for them and their family. So let's do away with this. Our people, we all feel the heat. So whoever has done anything wrong should face the music. An investigation is ongoing. So for now, we cannot say Beta Edu is guilty of any
Guilty.
offense
It's still an
till
allegation.
the investigation is concluded. But I think the president has done the right thing by suspending those involved so that we can know what really happened.
All right. So this case of misappropriation of funds and all of that is very prevalent in this particular ministry. That we know the people who are appointed there should be of high moral standards, if you ask me. So, what do you think has been the problem with appointing people to these ministries, and what should be the change when it comes to making these kinds of appointments so that we don't hear these kinds of things often again?
Well, there should be a background check on anybody you're appointing because you don't just appoint people based on sentiment or based on what do I call it now? Maybe you want to favor those who worked for you. You know, you must put square peg in square holes. There must be people who are capable. And before then, the DSS should have done a background check. Is this person really competent? Is it
But
capable?
they do, and these people always skill.
When you say they do, equally we hear of allegations of some of these persons that have been cleared. Okay, we hear of allegations that at one time they did this, they did that. So you begin to wonder what kind of clearance they get. Okay, so there must be a background check, double checking of. If you say the DSS should do a background, there must be a double check to check the person who has been given this duty to perform, to check this particular person. Has the person really done a good job? We need to know, because at the end of the day, you see them, you appoint them, at the end they come out and show you who they really are.
Yeah.
Okay, so there must be a background check. We need to really know who are these persons, what they've done before, are they really capable? Not just because they worked for you during the election.
But because they have to be worth every bit of onion that they come with. Let's hang on that thought. We'll come back for more conversations on the matters arising. Let's go on this quick break and we'll be right back on Viewer Exclusive. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still viewer exclusive on viewer television. I'm still in conversation with Ejiro Unueta, a lecturer from the CT Polytechnic in Abuja. Yes, so we're still talking on some form of suspensions now, not suspension of ministers. I would really like to get your view because I feel like this is your core. On recently, the federal government announced that there's been a suspension of accreditation and validation of certificates from some certain universities from Togo, Benin, and they've come out to list a few. What's your take on that generally? And then help us to understand what goes on during this validation, during this accreditation, that a lot was able to go unnoticed, or a lot is being able to go unnoticed.
Well, you see, it's a good thing because this has been happening for a whole lot of years now, and it seems like nobody is doing anything about it. Because, like I said before, putting square peg in square holes. You know, we saw the former minister of education once told us that he knew nothing about education when he was appointed, and it's quite sad because if you don't put the right persons there, probably
Which
they come
minister was
and
that?
learn on the
Adam
job.
Adamu?
Yes, at
Oh,
one time
okay.
he said something like that. They come and learn on the job, and we don't need people coming to learn on the job. We have capable hands who probably know how to get the job done. So you see, if not for that particular journalist that blew the cover,
Yeah.
of course, a lot of persons are aware that these things happen. You go to
Oh,
one
yes.
mushroom university out there in Cotonou or Benin, wherever, and they come out with certificates that cannot be verified, you know, and before you know, you see, at this point, we need to start looking at certificates more than certificates. Because we place so much emphasis on certificates. And that's why we're having this problem. We need people who are capable, who could get things done. It's a good one that this we've suspended. I think we should even begin to look inward, you know, because there are some other mushroom institutions, even in our country, that we need to really beam the searchlight on to find out what is really going on in there. Because some of these persons just get accredited, and the next thing, you don't run a check on them to discover what they are doing. You need to run a check to see what and how they go about it. It's not just all about increasing your fees and doing what you do. All right, you need to check how competent are the hands there. We need to understand, because at the end of the day, that's why we end up getting half-baked graduates.
Yeah.
In fact, there have been situations where you see some persons who are graduates that could not even spell their name, and you begin to wonder, how did this person graduate?
Get past that.
You know, so the system has been bastardized. We need to really come up with some mechanism to checkmate some of these institutions. We need to know what they are doing. The government need to really set up a committee to that effect, because it's not enough to just suspend. I think at one time you need to even prosecute.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you need to take it a step further. If you send a very strong signal, the people will adjust. And it's not enough to do all of this without you funding education. Okay, because what is the budget of education in this country? It tells you where the priority lies.
Yeah.
The other day, somebody was making a comparison between how much was budgeted for the student loan. Student loan that we've not even seen anybody that has been able to access that loan because of the bottleneck involved in all that. And then how much was given to the House of Rep members and all that, their allowance and all that. So when your priority lies is an issue on its own. Does the government really have priority on education? All right.
Yeah.
Because if you don't invest heavily on education, you have issues like this. You have half-baked graduates.
So you think a lack of investment in our education system is what is making people, parents and students, to go outside to get this certificate?
Yes, because you discover that there's so much strike in the system.
Yeah.
You don't pay the lecturers where they go on strike. And a lot of persons, there's nobody in Nigeria today, well, I might be wrong, but that went through school without experiencing one strike or the other.
Very
At
true.
one time, you must, if you escape it, then good for you. But somehow, you must have encountered one or two strikes during your course of study. And you see, these are the things people are running away from. That is why you find out that people start going to abroad to seek for education and all that, and that is how they encounter some of these mushroom universities that we just graduate them within 6 weeks.
Six.
It's more like the highest bidder now becomes a graduate. When you pay,
Yeah.
they give you a
Because that costs
certificate.
a lot.
Now, what is the double checking? What is the system in Nigeria doing to double check if this certificate are really genuine? Of course, if you go check, you discover that it's genuine because the guy
Actually
actually got
came
it
from.
from. So that's another part. Now, was there due process? Did he really pass through the
The
system?
discipline.
You see, so that is the issue. You see, there are some things. If you take education, if you think it's not important, like they say, you try ignorance. And one of those things some persons will not do is this: whenever you want to go get a doctor that will operate you, you always go for the best.
Yeah.
You don't want to compromise.
Yes.
Whenever you want to fly, you always go. You ensure the pilot is well trained and all that. But you see, if you don't do some of these things, if you don't put the right thing in place, one day you might end up going under the knife for a quack doctor who probably might just mess everything up for you.
Yeah, we've seen
So
a few of those already. We've
Good.
had a quack dentist somewhere in Kaduna and all of that. We've seen a few of that.
you see, it's because there's no check. Nobody really checkmates some of these things, and it's that bad. It's that
So
bad.
you've also let's go back to something you earlier mentioned. They said we have to start moving from certificate to certificate,
Certificate, yeah.
and I'm guessing you're talking about skills right
Yes, of
now.
course.
But how do we now balance skill and people actually knowing that people are expertise now? They've earned their expertise. If there is no certificate to show that you have gone through this skill, do you now think that that is something that we should also begin to see, that when people go through a certain form of skill acquisition, they should be given some form of certification? And that's still bringing us to being certified for something, because a lot of people want to first see that there is an evidence that you can actually do this job, even though they are handy jobs.
Well, a lot of persons have certificates, but they don't know how to really carry out the task. That's why you see when you employ a graduate, you still have to retrain them, okay, to meet up. Now, how do we go about it? You give the person a task to perform it. It's just like you say, oh, let's say you say I'm a theater artist, and then you're given the job. Of course, you have to show cause that yes, you can do this. It's not by certificate now, it's by what you can do. Yes, you need to be certified that you have a certificate to back what you're saying, but we should place more emphasis on your ability to get the job done. I think that's where the problem is. If you don't have the ability to do the job, but I've come across a particular situation where somebody came out with a first class, and she went for an interview in an oil company, and one of those things they asked them to do is this particular person now read mass communication,
Okay.
and one of those things they asked them to do is turn on the camera, do a recording, and do a cut and join. You know what they call it, cut and editing, cut and join editing. But this particular person could not, and this is a first class person we're talking about, someone who got a first class.
So it was all
What does that tell you?
theoretical in
Yes.
class. There was nothing practical.
So there must be practical. You must really put them through this. The government must fine-tune the educational system in such a way that people learn skills as well. Okay? It's not just come out, speak big grammars, and at the end of the day, you can't match it up with your ability.
Yeah. And to watch us, that I think the government is doing some form of on
Yes,
that part, because
yes,
we know of the
yes,
IDS project by the
of
Ministry
course,
of
there are
Education
some
and all of
NSQ
that.
courses
So,
that
yes.
they actually introduce because they've really seen that this will become a problem in the future. So
Yeah.
they are really waking up to try to
Yeah,
fix
because
that.
we should begin to march towards globally accepted, because that is one of the reasons why people are going out there to get this form of certifications. All right, let's go away from that, because there are a lot of matters that we would have to get your views on. Another matter that caught the interest of a lot of Nigerians again is the case of Daniel Walla. the spokesperson for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You know, he's currently the spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar during his campaign and all of that, and his visit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And Nigerians have really questioned his integrity as a person because of what has come out of his visits and his utterances, the things he has said when he has come out. And this is conflicting with his earlier submissions on this particular government, saying in 100 years nothing will ever go well, nothing will ever go right. And this is, what do we think is up? I know there's been some talks of, is there a defection, isn't there a defection? What do you think about Daniel Bwala's move?
We need to understand politics in our country, how politics is being played in Nigeria.
How is it played?
It's all about interest, personal interest first. That is how it's being played. All right. So everything you hear from a politician, you must take it with a pinch of salt. Okay. Don't run all out, because I've come to realize
all politicians. I'm sorry.
Not all.
All
not
politicians.
All, not
okay.
all. But I'm just speaking generally.
Generally. All right.
But not all, because we still have some few ones who stick to their words, who tell you this is what we do and that is what they will do. But you see, the ones we see these days who are making waves are those who at one time they said something and then they go back to do another thing. So I'm not surprised, because it's politics. Like I said, in this part of the world, it's all about personal interest first, So I'm not surprised that he is now hobnobbing with the president, because you must understand that there's a whole lot that have gone, there's a color of water that has gone under the bridge, like they used to say, So it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. So I think we should just follow him the way we see him. That's the way I'll put it, because you can't just take some of these politicians too serious. Why?
Okay.
Because they've said a whole lot. You see them coming out to either insult or discredit whoever is on power, and then the next minute an offer is made and they change their mind. They now belong to that particular camp. So I don't think it's anything. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal what they say. So we shouldn't begin to, in essence.
There's something I've noticed.
Yeah.
Of recent. You see, the politicians in power are united, but the followers are not united.
Doesn't matter what parties they are.
It doesn't matter what party. When it comes to their interests, they are united. They do what they call divide and conquer. They get for themselves, But you see, the followers that is not the problem, because the day the followers become united, we'll be able to hold our leaders accountable. Because when you want to tackle a particular politician, say, because it's not from our party, it's from the opposition and all that. So these are all issues that the followers need to sit down and understand. Because today, this man is in party A, the next minute, he say a whole lot and then move to party B. You don't know the color of water that has passed under the bridge. You understand? Probably an offer must have gone through and he tells you that, now I support this man, and there's nothing you can do about it.
You said something about whenever they make this thing, you see that there's a lot of rave around that. We know somebody like Doyin Okupe has come out to say something like that. Some have said some things about how ideologies, when we know that these are our politics here, we don't run. Ideology. So when we see all of these things happening, is this some form of political move? Just a game, just a gimmick, just something we shouldn't take them seriously?
You don't have to take them serious, hook, line, and sinker. No. You take it with a pinch of salt. If he says, I'm doing this, you watch him from afar. You don't start running with him and say, this man says this. No, because the next minute, he probably gets an offer, and like I said before, it's all about their own personal interest first.
Do you see Nigerian politics anytime near future or in the next generations to come being politics that is run by ideologies and men of integrity? Is that ever going to happen?
It will happen. It will happen because first we must be optimistic.
Okay.
We all know the problem. We in Nigeria, everybody, I believe, if you call 1 or 2, 10, 15 persons, they will tell you the problem of Nigeria. But at this point, we need to start looking at the solutions to the problem. It's not enough to know the problem. We need to start identifying with who are these persons that can give us solution to our problem. So I think it will happen the day we become united, like you earlier said that so Eddie is being prosecuted and some persons are saying, oh, it's our person and all that. And so we need to do away with that sentiment. If it's your person, and that particular person want to embezzle money that belongs to all of you, at the end of the day, to deprive you of what you're supposed to get. So we need to start looking at Nigeria as our country. You understand?
Yeah, I do understand.
Not what we can just get from Nigeria.
Generally become
What
more
can we do
patriotic.
collectively
Yeah.
to make Nigeria a better place? Because you discover that, oh, there's this Japa syndrome. Everybody wants to go out there. That place you're going to was built by one or two persons. Okay, they put ideas together. They refuse to accept the way it was, and they make it a better place. So I think in our lifetime we'll see that happen because Nigerians are becoming more aware now. They are becoming more aware of what is happening, and if they know the solutions, it's just to identify this person and get these persons to be in the helm of affairs. It's not as if it's going to be that easy because those who are there now will not just give space. Like they say, power is not just given, it's taken. And how can you take it? You must be ready for it.
Yeah. All right. On that note, let's take a quick break. And when we return, we'll be getting your views again on some security matters that are rising in, especially the city of Abuja, the FCT, and a few lighter issues that are trending in the nation. Join us again right after the break.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulence, for ultimate comfort.
Discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
Welcome back. This is still viewer exclusive on Viewer Television, and I'm still in conversation with Ejiro Unweta, a lecturer from the Department of Mass Communication, City Poly in Abuja. Talking about Abuja, it's been a thing of concern in the past weeks that banditry, cases of kidnapping, not just on the Kaduna Abuja highway, but also within the FCT. FCT residents now are beginning to be agitated. People are scared of moving around, and we're looking at the minister, and we feel like he's being too involved in the politics of Rivers right now, and he's not putting the needs of the FCT residents, making it a priority. What's your take on what's that, and what should we be seeing the FCT minister do at this point?
Well, at this point, I think the FCT minister needs to really check out the security of the FCT. You need to really put all hands on deck, because you need to go back to the drawing board, because right under our nose, people are being kidnapped. Right in the FCT, everywhere. I don't think there's anywhere that is even left out now. So the people are really feeling the heat. I mean, 2 weeks ago, a colleague of mine was kidnapped, and he had to pay like 2 million to get out of the kidnappers den, and it's quite sad. People are complaining they don't have money, and then you have to cough out 2 million to pay for your freedom. So at this point, I think the FCT minister needs to really sit down with his security team and then check out what is really happening, because the number of one chance, like they call it, the one chance issue is everywhere now. Mostly notorious for that is this what's it called, Zuba Expressway, Zuba Kubwa Expressway. I think that particular route is really notorious for that. So they need to really checkmate what is happening, and the influx of some suspicious person. It's high time we start looking at if we want to set up some vigilante within, see something and say something, because security is everybody's business.
Yeah.
Okay. We must have some special lines that you can call when you see some suspicious movement. You should be able to call and say, okay, I don't understand what's happening. This is happening in my area. Please, can you come check them out and all that? So, because we can't just leave it to the government alone. It's high time we the people stand up for our own security. We need to do something about it. It's not enough for you to expect a whole lot from the government, because they've shown that it's as if the government cannot be everywhere at every time.
Yeah.
So the citizens must wake up to their own responsibility to be able to tackle this menace.
Talking about the government not being everywhere at every time, some form of intelligence has it that this insecurity, the bandits and all within the FCT, are not just coming from within the FCT, but from the neighboring states too, which they call them the G7 right now, right? I think the people who the neighboring states. Do you think like the FCT minister or whoever, the security operative, should begin to liaise with the security intel of these other states too and the government, and probably drop politics aside?
Well, there's something you need to understand. You see, they have security. When you come from some of these states, you basically go through some checkpoints. So what are those guys doing? It's not enough because there's been allegations that all they do is collect money from motorists and all that.
Mostly so.
Yeah, so I think they need to move beyond that point. We need to have a call marshal that goes around to check if really these people are really doing that particular job. Because I was listening to somebody who said during this Christmas they traveled from I think Abuja to Cross River, and what they saw was really alarming. Some of the security personnel there, what they do is they get some other civilians close to them that goes to collect the money from the drivers and all that. So it's quite sad. So talking about the FCT, I think the FCT minister need to, if possible, empower some vigilantes. Every area should have a vigilante, okay?
Yeah.
That monitors what happens in that area, and probably give a matching order to some of these, is it Hakimi they call them in FCT, or the chiefs in FCT. If anything happens in your area, you'll be held accountable, because they should be in charge of that vigilante. They should be able to tell us what happened and who are these strangers, because if you say strangers are coming in, there's no way a stranger will come into your community without you having notice who, because you must know somehow if they come in their numbers, you should be able to know that some persons are in your area that are not supposed, because some of the people in these suburbs of the FCT are the one really feeling the heat right now. Before you know, 20, 30 people are kidnapped, and you begin to wonder, how did they maneuver these persons to the bushes or whatever? So another thing is, set up a special squad that always go through these particular bushes to make that place ungovernable for these bandits and the rest, because they have a few days. What they do is, once they kidnap somebody, they take them through the bushes, trek for hours, and it's really sad.
And they
you
go
know,
unnoticed.
they go unnoticed. So if there's enough sensitization in these communities, give them some numbers. If you see any strange movement, call, because I can assure you that some farmers will always tell you that, oh, they saw a large number of persons moving towards so direction, but since they have nobody to call, they don't know what to do.
They have no arms.
Nothing. So at this point, we should begin to look at that, sensitization, letting people know, tell them what to do when they see any strange movement, who to call, how to go about it. I think it will help a lot.
All right. Yeah, I'm still talking about, because you've mentioned security personnel, and it reminds me of a particular trending video now on social media that has been making the rounds, where the Nigerian police came out to give a sound of warning against the what do we call it now? It's a slogan. I don't want to say it's a slogan that we have given to ourselves. No grief for anybody. So now the police have come out to say they've given to sound a warning, and say they have intelligence, right, backing that up, even though they have come out on their Twitter page to say that they aren't saying that Nigerians shouldn't use it. We shouldn't use the slogan, which I feel is just them trying to wash whatever they have done. We now have, on the other hand, the Nigerian army now saying no grief for insecurity, no grief for this. We now have a politician, to Sanwo-Olu, sending off our Super Eagles to the AFCON and telling them no grief for anybody, bring the cup back. What do you have to say about this, especially in terms of the synergy that we are not experiencing within the security personnel, which of course we know that is a concern?
Of course. First, let me take it from the angle of the Nigerian army. I think they are looking at the positive side of that statement.
Oh, yes.
Yes, no grief for insecurity. What no grief for insecurity could mean, you see something, say something.
Yeah.
They attack you, don't just make it easy for them. Because some of these bandits, they know that if they attack and you are not resisting, it becomes very easy for them.
Yeah.
That's why they'll keep coming. But when they come, and then you attack, you fight back. Yes, you might be asking, oh, fight back with what? Of course, the no grief, it could be anything. You could put up a resistance. Okay? If they discover that, oh, this guy is no grief, next time when they want to come, they'll think twice. They'll say it will not be easy. So kudos to the army for looking at it from the positive side. I think the Nigerian police should have told that part too, rather than just looking at it will cause what they call it now, revolution and all that. I think they should look at the positive side. They should work more on the positive to encourage Nigerians. No grief for insecurity. Okay? If you see somebody wants to commit a crime, report that person. That's what no grief means. Okay? Rather than telling us it could cause revolution. And this synergy, it means that there's no synergy between the two forces. Everybody's just doing their own. But there should be synergy, because if we must get it right, they must be speaking with one voice. Okay? Yes. At this point, anything that happens in Nigeria, the security agencies should speak with one voice. I think the Nigerian police should look at the positive side of that statement. No grief for insecurity. It should be a slogan for themselves. They should make it a slogan, no grief for insecurity.
Yeah.
So that it will sink. Whenever you are attacked, you will think of what to do to help yourself out, to help your community, by not agreeing. Don't make it easy for them.
Yes. And then Governor Sanwo-Olu also told Spangles they shouldn't agree. They should bring back the cup to Nigeria. On that note, let me get, what are your expectations from the AFCON?
Well, being a patriotic Nigerian, if you ask me, I think Nigeria will bring back the cup, because we're not going to agree.
Is it just by the energy we have?
It's not by the energy. We have what it takes. We have the players. You know, if you are very conversant with the football world, you will discover that we have the African best footballer of the year. All right, we have these guys who are really doing well in their clubs, so there's no excuse. I think that's a very good way to spice them up, to ginger them, like they say in
ginger
Nigeria.
them, yes.
Give them ginger. No gree, bring the cup
Bring
back.
the cup back.
So whenever you're losing and you remember that saying, no grief
No
for
gree, you
anybody.
should take it. They should
So you,
seize the
you
cup.
put more effort to make sure you bring that
That they
cup
bring
back.
the cup back. All right, let's end this on a not so light note, but away from politics and all of that. Another trending video now, more like a documentary that was focused on late TB Joshua and all the scandals, all the allegations. Got arrested, so he is not here to defend himself, and his lawyers have come out to say that was not even his thing. He wouldn't have come out to say, let me defend this, because he sees it as a distraction. But we're looking at it basically now from the angle of these people who have come out, who are victims, and Nigerians, and their reaction to the BBC documentary, blaming the documentary and calling on colonialism and all of that. What's your take on that particular?
Well, this is a very strong one, because the man in question, who is at the center of the storm, is not even alive.
Yeah.
So I, for one, would have preferred if he were alive, so that we'll hear from his own. They put a question to him to find out if really he did this, because right now it's neither here nor there. Because you can't really say, yes, there are victims who came out to say this is what he did to us and all that. But you see, every situation has, I would say a coin has three sides. Usually they say it's two sides, but I think it's three sides.
What's the third side?
The third side is the edge.
Okay.
And the edge might just be what will really balance the story. If you've heard from one side, which are the victims, the other side would have been TB Joshua, and probably the third side wouldn't know.
Don't know what.
But so that's just because the situation we find ourselves now. So for now, what I would say is Nigerians should be wise, because we've seen video of how people worship some of these their so-called leaders. Christianity should be practiced with your five senses. Okay, don't just pick one and run away with it. You should be able to study the Bible yourself. You should be able to know what the Bible is saying, because this whole thing happened when people just look for quick miracle. They don't study the Bible to even know what the Bible is saying.
So we
they just want
gullible and we take in anything. All right, so because we're running out of time, we have to wrap up now. A yes or no answer. Do you think the federal government should put in some investigation into this matter? Yes or no?
Which of them?
Into the TB Joshua, into the allegations that are put against him.
It's not necessary. It's a no.
It's a no.
It's a no.
They shouldn't investigate.
They shouldn't.
All right, that is a very good place to wrap it up for us. Maybe after this, I'll get your response on why they should not investigate. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejiro, for coming on today. Your views and analysis have been very helpful and impactful. And thank you too for sticking with us till the end of the show. This has been viewer exclusive here on Viewer Television. Until I come your way again, my name is Chinon. So check us. Have a good day.